everyone. Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to Ouchi Gohan Part 3, our Japanese home cooking series tonight and this afternoon. For our folks joining in from Houston, we will be baking matcha marble cake and also making matcha latte. So a wonderful kind of dessert edition of our Ouchi Gohan series. This family-friendly event hosted by the Japan American Society of Georgia, the Japan Society of Boston, and the Japan American Society of Houston, and of course, Table for Two's Washoku Iku. We're so glad and happy that you're all able joining us for our innovative food program, Washoku Iku, learn, cook, and eat Japanese, right? So we're making simple, healthy, home-style Japanese food to enjoy with your friends and family. And today we're doing the dessert style. And all classes, of course, are taught by our wonderful Miss Deborah Samuels. She is our lead curriculum and recipe developer for Washoku Iku, cookbook author, cooking teacher, and 2020 recipient of the John E. Thayer III Award for outstanding contributions to cultural exchange between the United States and Japan. So without further ado, Deborah Sensei, yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Hi, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Deborah Samuels from my kitchen in Lexington, Massachusetts. Welcome to you all. Some returnees are here, some new faces. We decided to do for our final one in the month of December something sweet so that you could use it also for the holidays, and green if you are celebrating Christmas. Yoshi and I got the memo that we are working with matcha today. We're wearing our matcha color shirts, and we are going to be making a matcha marble cake. This is a mini one, but this is what it will look like at the end. It's a little glass one. It's half the size of that, and I'll show you why later. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what it would look like at the end. And we are also going to be making matcha latte, a nice drink. And if any of you are buying them for $4 and $5 at Starbucks or wherever it is, I'm here to show you how to save your money so you can learn how to make your own matcha latte. So what we're going to do today is usually I start with a short PowerPoint that explains and kind of sets the scene for our subject. I'm not going to do that first today because we're going to be baking a cake that takes time. So the first thing we're going to do is bake the matcha cake, and then I'm going to show you the PowerPoint, and we'll talk a little bit about matcha and its qualities at that point. The cake will take about 25 minutes, depending on whether you have a fast oven or a slow oven. When I see that something takes 25 minutes, I set the timer for 20, just to make sure, because you can always add time, but you can't take it away. So that's my philosophy on that. All right, so I think we're going to get started, and we're going to be starting with our dry ingredients. I'll just go over the matcha that I'm using today is Maeda N. It's not that expensive. I think maybe I got it for about $9.50 here at one of our Asian markets. As you can see, the color is a beautiful, beautiful green, very mossy color. And the reason why you should be using, why it's a good idea to use this kind of all-purpose or ceremony grade matcha is because it gives you a beautiful, intense color. So I just want to make sure everybody's got their matcha ready today. And if you're not cooking along, this is one of several varieties that you can get. Okay, so what we're going to do first is start with our dry ingredients. I'm going to switch my camera so that you can see what I'm doing better. Let me just put my camera on. Okay. Can everybody see my place here? All right. So I've got two bowls, one for the dry ingredients and one for the wet ingredients that I will bring over momentarily. And I thought, I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to bake a cake. but I'm just going to measure the flour out with you just so that I can show you generally the proper way of measuring flour. So you don't do this and shake it and try to get down to even. When you're baking, it's a science. Well, you can do that when you're cooking, but when you're baking, you want the exact amount. So you're going to take a flat part of your knife, you're going to heaping cupful. So we're adding 1.5 cups, heaping cupful of flour, and you're going to go backwards and forwards. Okay, so you've got a level cup. This is a dry measure. You don't measure powder and dry things in a glass measuring cup. That's a wet measure. So I'm sure you all know some of these things, but I just, when I teach, I just want to make sure. So into the bowl goes the flour, and then I have a 1/2 cup, and we'll put the other 1/2 cup in. Whoops. Okay, I got that over here. And we'll measure the 1/2 cup in. Now, we're going to measure a 1/2 cup in, and then, so I'm going to measure again. As you can see, I've got up like this and back, and I've got a level measure, all right? And that's going to go in. So what was not said in the recipe is what we're going to do now is we're going to take out 1 tablespoon of flour because we are adding 1 tablespoon of matcha. And this cake is a little fussy. It has a tendency to be dry. So I just want to make sure that it's not overly dry. So I'm going to remove 1 tablespoon of flour and do a level tablespoon like that. And I'm just I'll put it back in my later. Okay, so we've got 1.5 cups minus 1 tablespoon of flour. I've already measured the sugar. That's not as fussy as flour. So I'm going to put in my sugar. Generally, when you bake, sugar is not always put with the dry ingredients, but in this case it is. I tried to keep this down to just 2 bowls so that you didn't have to run around and do a lot of fixing and cleaning. So I'm going to make sure everybody is there along with me. All right, so we've got our flour, our sugar, and then baking powder. And I can't tell you how important it is, or I am going to tell you how important it is to make sure that you have fresh baking powder. When I tested this recipe the first time, it came out flat. What happened? I tested it a second time, it came out flat. I couldn't figure it out. And then I looked at my baking powder and it was old. So I went out and got some new baking powder, and that was the problem. So make sure you've got fresh baking powder. And again, always measure away from your bowl. Okay, level teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, and 2 teaspoons. Okay. And I will set this aside now. And all right.
Are you putting the salt in?
Pardon?
Are you putting salt? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm coming to the salt. I'm heading up to the salt. I'll just let you know that I'm putting in regular table salt. You can put in a pinch of kosher salt if you want. But when you measure salt, kosher salt has large crystals and table salt is smaller. So you tend to get less if you're putting in kosher salt. So I'm just going to put in a pinch. I've already taken this. I do not do this with salt. Just take a pinch and put it in. I'm going to put in like 2 pinches. There we go. Okay. Now the main ingredient of the show is the matcha. And what you also need is a strainer. I have a tea strainer here, or any kind of wire mesh strainer that has small holes. okay? If you don't have that, don't worry. If you have a sifter or something, that's fine. And if not, you're just gonna mix it well with that, all right? So I'm gonna take my tablespoon of matcha powder, and I am gonna look for a level tablespoon here, okay? That. And I'm gonna put it into the strainer, okay? And what this is going to do is make it even and try, when I mix it up, it will not be clumpy, okay? And then I'm just going to carefully, with a spoon or with a spoon, you just mix the powder, putting it right through the strainer. Is everybody with me? Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question about greasing the pan. What kind
Yes.
of oil do you recommend? 'Cause
You can use canola oil. You can use canola oil, you can use corn, whatever oil you have is fine. I would not use olive oil because olive oil has a flavor. Okay?
Well, I have walnut, coconut, avocado, or any of those.
Avocado, that has the least flavor.
Avocado.
Coconut
Okay.
oil has flavor. Walnut oil has flavor. You don't want something with flavor. You can also use butter. I'll show you what I'm using today to get my pan together. Okay, so now I have the dry ingredients ready, and I'm just going to take my whisk and combine it as best I can here. Okay. And when this is all combined, I'm just going to set it aside. Okay, right here. Now I will get my bowl for the wet ingredients. And let me just close the matcha because I've been known to spill things and I don't want to do that. Okay. So for the wet ingredients, we have 1 egg, okay? And just put that in like this. I have 3 tablespoons, or in here, of oil. Who asked me the question about the oil for PC? All right, PC, what kind of oil do you have?
I'm Janet. I'm sorry.
Janet, sorry. Are you using the same oil for the cake as well?
I could.
What other kind of oil do you have?
I have sesame oil.
No, nothing with a flavor. So
Then
it's
avocado, that's it.
Avocado oil.
Okay.
Okay, I'm using canola oil. All right.
Okay.
Anybody else have any oil questions or ingredient questions? So it's 3 tablespoons here. And then a 1/2 cup of whole milk. You can use 2% if you don't. This whole milk has a little bit more fat in it, and it just, I don't know, makes it a little bit richer, but don't worry. In goes the milk, 1/2 cup. All right.
Deborah Sensei,
Yes,
is it okay to use lactose-free milk?
absolutely.
Awesome, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will tell you now that I said that, I don't know if it has any effect when you bake it, but I can't imagine it's going to have much of an effect, okay? But I know you can use soy milk, you can use, almond milk in this, so I'm pretty sure that's fine too. And then we have, I'm using whole fat yogurt. You can use any kind of yogurt you want, or sour cream. This recipe ended up being like a combination of several that I have worked with. So in goes the sour. I have yogurt here, okay, and this helps. I've tested this many times, And sometimes I found the cake to be a little bit dry. And so when I added the sour cream or the yogurt, I felt that it gave it the right consistency that we were looking for. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix these up here together. Okay, and mix it well. All right, just put this over here and I'll get my, whoops. Dry ingredients back. So I have my dry ingredients now. I have my wet ingredients done. There's so many different theories about whether you should add dry ingredients to wet or wet ingredients to dry. For this recipe, I have found that adding wet ingredients to dry works very well. So now I will do that. And I'll do it slowly. This is a pretty quick batter, and we'll just start mixing. Put it down so you can see that. And mixing. Is everybody with me? You can see the very pretty color of the green. And let's just mix this together. It's kind of a thick batter, okay? And then we'll talk about the baking dish that we're going to use. That was also a little bit of a challenge for me, because when I start out with recipes that I have discovered from Japan, the sizes of the baking pans are different. So I worked hard to get this to fit into a pan that I thought most American households would have, which is an 8x8. Okay, can everybody see this is all done? And the green color is solid throughout. Don't want to over mix it, but just make sure I've put in everything and I'm not missing anything. Okay, very good. So, preparing the pan, I have an 8x8 glass baking pan. Can you all tell me what you are using? Can people tell me what they have? What are people using?
We have aluminum over here.
Aluminum? Okay, aluminum foil or?
I have an aluminum pan. Mine's round.
You've got a round one, that's okay. And that looks like Teflon too, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, anybody else want to show me what they
I
have?
have either an 8x8, the glass, or a 9-inch round.
No, go 8x8 if you can. And Cecil, what have you got there? Okay, so you have an aluminum pan.
Yes.
That has a lot of edging. So you're going to have to be very careful when you grease this, okay? Because we want it to come out.
Okay.
Not, get stuck in there. Anybody else want to show me their pans? Let's see. Okay, Donna, good?
It's 8x8. It's some kind of metal.
Metal, okay.
This is what we have.
Okay, you're going to put some parchment paper in yours. Very good. Okay. Anybody else want to show me? All right. So basically, if you used a larger pan, you're going to get a flatter cake, which is fine, but it's going to take less time to cook. Okay, so you have to be careful if you use different size pans and they're larger than what they're called for, the item is going to be flat, which is no problem. Just be aware of that, okay? So what I'm doing, I almost never use Pam, almost never. I got it because I got an air fryer, but I find that it helps in this kind of a cake, which sometimes has a tendency to stick. So I'm going to use Pam. If you don't have Pam or anything like that, you can just take a paper towel and oil and wipe it all over the pan. Make sure every part, the sides and the bottom, are all done. So I'm gonna just do this. Okay, so here I am, completely covered. Okay? And now we're ready to put the cake into the pan. And I made a couple of other things today with the batter. I made an earlier one, so I will show you a few other different things. You can make cupcakes with this. But it's a little fussy on the timing. Okay, so let's pour the batter in.
I have a super quick question.
Yes.
My son showed our pan. Am I supposed to line it with parchment paper?
No, you don't have to. Is that
Okay.
Cecil?
Is it what?
Who's talking to me?
Me,
Is it
right here, Leah.
Leah. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I saw Cecil's pan. Leah,
Okay.
let me take a look because I'm not seeing you right now. Hang on one sec.
Okay, no worries.
Where's Leah? Is anybody seeing Leah? I'm not seeing her on my screen here. Sophie, Cecil. Oh, there you are, Leah. There you go. Okay, great.
Here I am.
Hi. You have a circular pan, which is fine. You want to just grease it very well.
Perfect. Done. Okay, great.
No problem. All right. Cool. All right, everybody. Onward. And so, a nice spatula is very helpful to get out all of your batter. All right. And like that. Okay. Now, we're not baking with anybody that's in Colorado, where the altitude does make a difference in, when you're baking. But I will say it feels like there's a lot of moisture in the air tonight. I don't know. I hope that's not going to affect my cake. But what I will tell you to do now, just to get the bubbles out, tone, tone, tone. And we're going to set this aside and get the chocolate ready. All right, let me put this aside, and I'm going to move my stove closer so that everybody will be able to see what we're going to do. And I'll move this on the side here and bring it back momentarily. I just wanted to tell you, today I am melting the chocolate over a pot of simmering water. You can do it in the microwave. I have done it in the microwave, but I have had as many successes as I've had failures in the microwave. If you heat it too long in the microwave, the chocolate seizes up and you have to throw it away. You can't do it. But I know, because I've done this now 3 or 4 times before I got to you, is that heating it on top of the stove in, with simmering water underneath my bowl, I can control what's happening. So we have a slight change. I hope this will be okay with everybody in what I'm doing with the chocolate. Instead of a ½ a cup, I'm using 1/3 cup of chocolate. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to regroup with that. 1/3 cup chocolate. I have 1 tablespoon of butter. If you don't have butter and you use margarine, whatever, it's just some extra fat to make sure that this melts evenly. Okay. So
Salted or unsalted?
It doesn't matter. If you don't have, I generally keep unsalted butter in the house, but if you only have salted butter, no problem. Okay. And then finally, I have 1 tablespoon of milk. And what this is going to do is going to make it's going to liquefy the chocolate enough so that it'll be very smooth when we go through making, doing the marbling, okay?
I'm sorry, how much butter did you say again?
1 tablespoon.
Also, I've put it in the chat box.
Thank you very much. All right, so.
Deb, I hate to be the student from hell. This is Adrian, but I
Yeah.
already melted a half a cup. So what do you
Oh,
suggest?
you already melted a half a cup? No problem. It's completely melted?
Yeah,
Adrian, where are you? Show me. Is it liquidy? Okay.
this is what it looks like.
Wait, I'm looking for you. Hang on 1 second. I'm trying to find you. Adrian.
So you want me to still add butter and milk to it?
If it's already melted, is it very smooth?
Yep.
Don't touch it. Just leave
Okay.
it alone, okay? I'm gonna have you leave yours alone. If it's smooth enough to use, okay? All right. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna take my, I'm just gonna move my stove and all of my ingredients here so we can melt this. You can watch me melt it together. I'm gonna put things aside and move this over so everybody can see. All right,
How much milk do we add again?
1 tablespoon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And so I have about a little bit less than a half a pot, a small pot filled with water here. And I'm just going to give it a minute to start heating. And then I'm going to put this right on top of it like that. And I'm going to let it melt. Okay. So everybody can do that at their stoves. When you melt things in the microwave, have people had success melting in the microwave? Adrian, did you melt in the microwave?
No, I have had, in the past, I've had success melting with the microwave. So I did that and it got burnt. So
Yeah.
then I put it, and then I've been baking for a billion years. So I put
Yeah.
it, I did like, double boiler method. So.
Right. Okay. So if you do it in the microwave, I don't know how many different sites I went to about melting chocolate. They tell you to melt it in 30-second increments. You may end up melting it for a minute and a half, but you melt it in 30-second increments. And that's how you're supposed to control that. But I've had too many problems with it, and I don't like throwing out food. So, all right, I'm gonna put my chocolate chips and butter and milk on top there. And I'm going to start to melt this. Okay. And it should melt pretty quickly. That, just let it go down. Just gonna let it get a little bit hotter. Is everybody at their stoves? Okay, is anybody gonna do the microwave method? Okay. So what we're gonna do after this is once it's melted, we're going to place it on top of the batter in 6 different spots. And then we're going to bring a knife through it and marbleize the cake. Adrian, have you done that before? Have you made marble cakes?
I've been baking since I've been 7 years old. So yes.
Yes, okay.
That was one of the first cakes I made, marble cake.
Usually marble cakes are made with a batter. You divide it in 2 or 3 and you keep one batter plain and then you add the flavors to it. But this is a simpler, sort of a simpler technique. And just one of the reasons, because we do this with children, we try to also make it simple. All right, so now this should start to melt quickly. And I'm hoping, I haven't ever had it seize up on me on top of the stove. So let's hope this isn't the first time. All right, and as you can see, it's melting. The other thing that butter does is to give it that pretty shine. Do you see that? Can everybody see that very pretty shine? Okay. It's almost done. The thing is, you want to try and keep the bottom away from the water. And now it's pretty much, it's mostly melted. I'm just going to turn off the heat. Whoops, wrong direction. And I'm going to let the warm water finish the melting. Okay. And so this is just about done. And you can see that it's, I'm going to probably call it liquefied, but it's melted. Okay. There we go. All right. So if yours is done, just going to move my here and put it down on, whoops, and get yourself set up so that we get ready to do the cake. All right, and the fun part is about to begin. This is the chef's part. You can lick this by yourself. Okay, in the kitchen. All right, let me set this aside. And then I'm going to take a spoon. Make sure that nothing is wet when you put it near chocolate, because that's the other thing that'll happen. It will seize up if you do that. So now I'm just going to take the chocolate and I'm going to make dots around the cake. They don't have to be even. That's kind of part of the fun here. And just go around like that. Okay. Is anybody doing this marble method for the first time? It's a lot of fun. It's like magic. Okay. You see that very pretty shiny bit in the chocolate? That's, I think, what one of the reasons also that the butter helps. All right, be very careful when you touch your metal pan. I'm just going to put it over in the sink. And then I'm going to take a knife. I'm going to use the back of my knife. And I'm just going to start swirling it through the cake. All right, you don't want to overmix it and get it muddy. You just want to start dragging your knife around like that. See those pretty movements of the chocolate? Makes these beautiful decorations. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, all right, up and down. Like this, okay? You want to try, when you move over, you might want to lift your knife and go back down, like that.
Someone put a question in the chat box.
Yes.
Do you always use dark chocolate or also milk or white chocolate?
Interesting question. I saw a recipe with white chocolate, but it was not melted. I don't know how the white chocolate would behave. It's a little bit different. Adrian, you got any ideas about that? Whether that melts and marbleizes well?
I've never tried it, but I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Either, but I think it would depend on how it melts. So I would read about melting white chocolate. I think the light colored chocolate, you're going to kind of lose a contrast. So that's one reason to do that. Okay. So I think I'm just about done playing here. I like the way mine looks. Maybe I'll go down this way a little bit. And I'm going to turn off my share and I'm going to ask everybody to show me their cakes. Let's see. Gallery view. All right, let's see. Oh, nice, perfect, excellent, super duper. Excellent job, everybody. Wonderful. All right, nice, Catherine. All right. Okay. It's so much fun. The desire to keep going is there, but don't go any further. This is going to be nice and really pretty when it comes out. Okay, everybody, into the oven, 350 degrees, middle rack. I know this takes 25 minutes, but 20 minutes. I'm going to time 20 minutes, all right? So I'm going to put mine in the oven. Whoops, there. And let me just get out. Well, if you've seen this before, this is my favorite piece of jewelry. This is my timer from Japan, and I'm going up to 20 minutes. Oh, I'm at 22. All right, stato. And I carry this around everywhere because I'm very forgetful. So there it is. All right, everybody, clear your places. I am a very messy cook, so I try to at least clean up a little bit as I go. And let me just put you should put some water in your mixing bowls, just in case, so that they don't get too difficult to clean. Just give me a minute to do that. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to hold off. We're not going to make the matcha latte yet. We are going to do a little bit of a PowerPoint and talk about tea. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? Okay. So we're going to go to my share and we're going to talk about matcha and Japanese tea. So let me go down and back to basics and share. Can everybody see that? All right, slideshow. Go there and play from start. Okay, can everybody see that? Yes, okay. So today, our third and final in the Ouchi Gohan series is matcha marble cake and matcha latte, what we'll be making today. And I'll explain a little bit about this setup later because it's all pretty important in presentation of Japanese food. All right, so tea, this is a Washoku-iku special session. We're going to be talking about tea and the different kinds of teas and what makes matcha matcha and other teas, how they're grown and the methods used and the health benefits. So again, I've seen most of you before, but this is our Washoku-iku program. Washoku is a combination of two words. Washoku-iku is a combination of two words. Washoku, which is Japanese cuisine, and shoku-iku, which is Japanese culinary, Japanese education, food education and nutrition. Children in Japan do this from kindergarten or first grade all the way up through high school. They learn, it's not like our home ec, it's much more intense than that. And both boys and girls do this. And they learn also about how food is grown, the nutrition of it. They learn how to handle themselves in a kitchen. They learn about Japanese manners. So it's quite a wonderful program. And we were very inspired by that. So we've developed our Washoku-iku. And I think everybody here knows how to say sensei and konnichiwa. And for classes, we tell kids when a teacher comes into a class, all students stand up, put their hands in front of them and bow and say sensei, konnichiwa, or ohayo gozaimasu, or whatever it is. So let's see, what kinds of drinks do you drink? What are we drinking every day? We having sodas, water, juice, tea, coffee, all kinds of things are on our menu for drinks. What do you think the most popular beverage in the world is? This is such a leading question. Does anybody want to just shout it out?
Maybe coffee?
Hey.
Tea.
Not coffee, not coffee. Let's see. Water. Okay. It is a beverage, water, but number 2 is tea. Okay. And tea in Japan and perhaps other Asian cultures as well is given to children at a very early age in differing, dilutions. And Japanese kids will drink a tea called mugicha, which is a barley-based non-caffeinated tea, but they will have ocha or sencha, throughout their lives, but they will have it in much lesser, in a much weaker form. So where did tea originally come from? It came from China and made its way around the world from there. And each culture changing the way they drink it and the flavors along with it. Tea is drunk in a variety of ways in different cultures. Taiwan, everybody's into the new boba milk tea here, which I think these new fads are wonderful. They really widen people's palates. China, let's see, we go bubble tea, yum cha, afternoon tea in England, mint tea as a digestivo or a digestive, and chai in India. So what color is tea? How different are they? We talk about all the different kinds of teas are available and kind of introducing kids to them so that they know tea is not just a Lipton bag, or, it's not just an herbal tea either. So we have black tea, blue tea, oolong cha, white tea, yellow tea, and green tea are some of the different varieties of the colors. And the most popular is black tea. And they use that very often to mix many different kinds of drinks. Teas are processed in different ways. They are dried, they can be fermented. Japanese tea leaves are dried and fermented, and it gives it also a different flavor, and roasted gives things a different cast, but they all come from the same plant, okay? This is something I learned when we did this. The Camellia sinensis. But there are different ways of processing it, and that's how we get the different kinds of teas. So black tea, green tea, yellow tea, these are teas from trees, bushes. And then what other kind of teas do we drink all the time? Somebody want to shout out another tea? Another kind of tea?
Herbal.
Herbal, here we are. Herbal teas, chamomile, lavender, jasmine, these generally tend to be decaffeinated or non-caffeinated herbal teas. Rooibos tea. I don't know too much about it. Does anybody know about I don't even know how to pronounce it. Rooibos tea.
It's like from a bush, and it's like in from like South Africa and also other places in Africa, and it's really delicious. And I highly recommend it when you go to the store, get some.
Is it a fruity tea? Does it taste fruity?
It does taste a little bit fruity.
Okay.
It's a good tea. It's a good tea.
Oh, good. Okay, on my list. And barley tea, which is what I mentioned to you before, is mugicha, which is drunk during the summertime in Japan, and it's a type of tea that you just steep in water, and it's got a nice toasty flavor, and everybody really loves that. It's very refreshing. All right, tea. Most popular tea in Japan is green tea, sencha, ryoku-cha, and barley tea, mugi-cha, as we just talked about. And what kind of other tea, green tea is popular in Japan? There are varieties of green teas. There are different ways to grow them, different ways to harvest them. And they have wonderful different flavors, genmai-cha, hoji-cha, all these different types of teas that are roasted. Some are roasted with rice, and they give you these wonderful flavors. But sencha is sort of the common ocha that people will have. And finally, to today's star, matcha, okay? Oops, what did I do? It's still going. Hang on a sec. Okay, yeah. So here we are going to be talking about matcha and how it is presented in Japan. I think a lot of people may know it, or since you're all part of Japan societies, you're probably familiar with the tea ceremony and may even have participated or are tea people yourselves. But as that became a little bit less popular and the drinking of tea became less popular, and coffee, which outpaces tea in Japan these days, the tea associations were looking for ways to pump up tea consumption. And so began the matcha latte, or the matcha cakes, the things that are used in wagashi. Matcha latte, I think we started that here in the US. But matcha ice cream, matcha pudding, matcha roll cake, matcha Kit Kats, matcha everything. And really quite flavorful. The green tea leaves are steamed and dried and ground into matcha powder. And they are drunk, or you drink them or you put them in dessert. The thing about matcha powder is that you are consuming the entire leaf of the tea leaf. When you make ocha or sencha, you put the leaves in water and they steep. Here you're adding water to the powder and you are drinking the entire, you get to consume the whole thing, which has a lot of health benefits. All right. And is drunk for the tea ceremony. Tea ceremony, as most of you know, is very deeply rooted in Japanese culture and history. I'm hoping that we will have a chance to introduce you to two people here joining us today. One is a tea master, and the other is her daughter. And they're going to be working with us on helping to create a tea ceremony for teens here in America. So tea ceremony and the matcha powder is central to that, as are the different pieces of equipment. It is good for your health. In America, we drink a lot of sweet teas. In Japan, tea is generally not sweetened at all. And here we are also talking about the amount of sugar that we consume, or kids can consume, and how much is good for you in your total in a day. And how much sugar do you think are in different beverages? Fruit juice, 36 grams, soda, 40 grams, sweet tea, 25 grams. And your allotment for the day is a total of 25 grams. So you can see how very quickly one glass of orange juice and boom, you've had your sugar for the day. So part of it is also that it is an unsweetened tea. A long time ago, tea in Japan and all over Asia was considered medicine, as is a lot of food in Asian cultures. Tea contains lots of different naturally occurring chemicals, which is very hard for me to pronounce, polyphenols, catechins, theanine, and I can't see and I think of vitamin C. So these things all exist in matcha. So when we talk about a healthy dessert, even though it has sugar in it, Japanese desserts tend to be smaller in portion and have these things like matcha and azuki beans, which are healthy ingredients. Matcha is thought to help prevent diseases like heart disease, cancer, boost your immune system, good for your blood pressure, improves your brain function, and is generally all again for drinking. It does have a fair amount of caffeine in it because you are drinking something directly. So there's no dissipation of that. And helps to increase fat burning. Okay. So these are some of the really good qualities of tea. Whoops, itadakimasu. We're a little ahead of ourselves there. Okay. All right. So that's our brief presentation on tea. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Can you put red beans, anko, red bean
Yes.
paste instead of chocolate in the marble cake?
You can do that, but you would put the cake together differently. You wouldn't try to marble it. In that case, you might want to make, what you would do is you'd put maybe half of the layer, half of the batter,
Make it a sandwich.
the matcha batter down. Then you could add the clumps of the anko to it, and then you put the other half on top. Or what I always do is I make matcha cupcakes, and I put the little anko right in the middle of the cupcake. So I fill half the cupcake, add the anko, and then a little bit more on top. And that's a really good way to do that. Okay.
We have a team member from Houston that's trying Onko and substitute of chocolate today. So Janet will ask Katayama-san how her cake turns out.
Oh, great. All right. Fantastic. So we are at about 6 minutes left before we go. So I would like to introduce you to my friends here in Massachusetts, Chinami Iokibe-san and Sarada, her daughter. Can we highlight them? Yoshi, can we highlight them? Okay, spotlight them. I just want them to say hi to you all. Chinami-san is has been doing tea for many years, and I just will ask her a few questions. And if you all have any questions, she also has a tea name, which is very, very good. Means she's been doing this for a while and that she is a licensed practitioner of tea ceremony. So hello and welcome. You are in Belmont, Massachusetts and here for the year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We moved to Belmont in August 2021.
Ah, okay. Yeah. During the pandemic. You're very brave. Yoshi, are they highlighted into the large screen so we can see them? Yes. Okay, very good. And so what kind of tea do you practice? What is your school of tea?
We belong to Urasenke, which is the biggest school in Japan.
I see. And can you tell us what your tea name is and why you have it and what it means?
My tea name is Sona. My original name is Chinami. And So is the common tea name. And Na is one of my name's letter. Na, Chinami, Na.
So that is how you got your name. And how long have you been practicing tea?
Oh, yes. I have studied the tea ceremony since I was in my 20s. So matcha has always been with me for 25 years.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. And Sarada, can you just say hi to everybody?
Hi.
And Sarada, how old are you? And can you tell everyone how long you've been studying tea ceremony?
Yeah, I'm 15 years old now, and I started studying 2 years ago before coming to the US this summer.
I see.
And yeah, now I often enjoy making matcha with my family.
Wonderful. Chinami-san, can you just tell us 5 important things that you have or you feel when you're doing a tea ceremony, something, and why you do it?
Yes, I think those are to gratify the five senses, such as hearing, sight, and sense of smell, taste, and touch. Through the sounds of boiling water, the beautiful flowers and utensils inside, taste and smell of matcha, and texture of tea bowl. And I think the greatest enjoyment of tea ceremony is to gratify those five senses and fill our heart.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And there's one other thing that is important as a concept with the tea ceremony. Can you explain what that is? Say it in Japanese and then explain it.
Okay, so yeah, Ichigo Ichie is a traditional Japanese concept meaning one lifetime, one meeting. So Japanese people believe that every day changes like the flow of a river, and that's the moment we have now will never come again. It's the same with the tea ceremony. So even if a tea party that's with the same members, the season and the people's feeling will change. And by cherishing the moment that will never come again in this way, you can feel that your relationship with the peoples is more precious than ever.
Thank you. That's really beautiful. It, comes this way once, so every moment is special. Thank you very much for telling us these things and sharing it a little bit about that. And I'm hoping that they will be working with us to create a Washoku program for a tea ceremony that will be accessible to American teens and not having, the luxury of studying for years. So that's, I'm very happy they're here. Okay, everybody, I think I've got 1 minute and 11 seconds left, and I'm going to get ready to check that. And the next thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to take the cake out of the oven, and then we're going to go right to making the latte. And once the cake will have a chance to cool down, we'll make the latte, and hopefully we'll be able to taste a piece of the cake and have a sip of the latte at the same time. All right, 44 seconds left. I'm heading over to my oven. That was 22 minutes for me. Everybody head over to your ovens and let's take a peek. Oh, looking good. Okay, I think people know that when a cake is ready, it doesn't jiggle, and when you put a knife or a pick in, it comes out dry. My cake is jiggling and it's not ready yet. So I'm putting it in for another, I'm pretty sure 5 minutes will do it. If your cake is ready, take it out. Mine needs 5 more minutes. Okay. All right. And we're gonna get it back to 0, 2, 3, 4, 5 and start. Okay. All right, so while anybody's cake finished? Yours is finished, Lauren, great. Yeah, you put it when you take it out, and PC, I forgot your first name.
Janet, no worries.
Janet, sorry, okay. Yours is ready too?
Yeah.
What size dishes?
I had a size 9. It was a 9.
So 9, larger, shorter amount of time. Lauren, how about you?
8 square.
8 square. Oh, Donna, good. Okay, so you've got metal there. That cooks faster. Glass takes a little bit more time. Okay, great. Put your items out. I'm sure everybody knows to put it on a cake rack so that the air circulates around. Okay, so I'll wait for mine to come out. But meanwhile, let's get started with the matcha latte, and fill your pans. I'm going to go back and share my screen, and we're going to head over to the ingredients for the latte. Okay, so I'm going to ditch this, and I've got my pan ready here. My ingredients for the latte, whoops. All right, I am using, to sweeten mine, a little bit of honey. You don't have to add any sweetener if you do not want to, okay? But it gives it a nice little bit of flavor. And I find also, well, kids or teens tend to like it with a little bit of honey better. And I've got my milk, 1 cup of milk, and I'm going to pour into my pot. And you're going to need a wire whisk. Okay, you don't need to have, obviously, we know that this is what, whoops, I have a little mini whisk here, but you do not need this to make a matcha latte. If you're lucky enough to have one of those electric things that you foam the milk with, that's great, but all you need really is a whisk and tea, my tea here, like this, and you use, for a cup, either 1 or 2 teaspoons. It depends on how you like it, all right? So I like it on a little bit more of the weak side. Just make sure this is not going to fall off. Okay, I'm going to turn on my heat to medium. All right, I don't know if people can see that. Kind of a medium flame. I'm not going to, you don't want to boil it, but you do want to get it up to a heat where you're going to see bubbles. All right, like this. I'm just going to smooth it over a little bit. And I'm going to take my cup. I'm going to use a Japanese coffee cup that I had that's much smaller. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of matcha right into the cup. Okay? Teaspoon into the cup. And I don't think this is not like cake where you have to measure carefully, but I think a teaspoon, I've done this before, and a teaspoon is enough for me. So I've got there. And what we're going to do is we're going to heat the milk, and we are going to add a small amount of milk to the powder before we add everything. This is going to give me sort of like half, I'll be using half the milk that I have here for a cup like this. So depending on how you want it, you could also make it in a glass, and it would look very nice in that too. All right, I'm just waiting for that to come up, and I'm going to add my honey to the milk now while it's cooking. All right, you can use sugar, you can use agave syrup, you can. All right, hang on everybody. I'm going to put my stopper on, and I'm just going to go take out my cake. So I'm going to lower my milk heat here so I don't inadvertently burn that. Let's see if my cake is ready. Oh yeah, all ready. So I'll take that out of the oven and set it right on my rack. All right. And now we're going to take a whisk, a wire whisk, and you're going to see that the bubbles are going to start coming up with this. Right? I was just about to add my honey. I'm not measuring it, just going to do it like this. About a teaspoon. Now you can see that this is beginning to get very hot. I'm going to lower the heat. Lower, lower, lower. And I'm going to start whisking like this. Is everybody with me? Whisk and make your own foam. If anybody has one of those electric foamers, super. You can do that. This is obviously not how you would make it if you were making a regular cup of matcha with water. This is just latte. You can ask afterwards. And if you can see the bubbles coming up, I don't want to. All right, I think I've got enough foam, and I'm going to turn it off. Like that. And let's concentrate now on the matcha. Let me just take things out of the way. And, okay. Foamy. How's everybody doing? Can I see your phones? Are they all ready there? Great. Just get this over, and I have a little whisk here. Oops. I can't find my little metal whisk. I'm just going to use a spoon so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to pour a little bit of the milk. I'm going to hold back the foam and try to just pour a little bit of milk in it, just to wet it. Okay, like that. And mix it up into a paste. Put a little bit more in there than I need to. But you want to mix it up before you put all of them in. If you have a tiny little whisk, you can use that. I do, and I took it out, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to mix it up like that, and it's mostly dissolved. I could use my little fun one here, but I'll leave that. And now just move this over. And now I'm going to add my milk and the foam. Okay. On top like that. Ooh, nice.
Can you make this like a cappuccino?
Yes, basically it's like a cappuccino, I would say. That's exactly right. And then you'll just take your matcha. If you want to do this step, you don't have to. And I'm just going to pour a little bit into the strainer and then just carefully put it across the top. Okay. We have contact, Houston. Here we are. Your matcha latte is ready. You can do it in a big glass or a cup. And something that is very important when you're serving Japanese style is that you usually do things on a tray. And I have a little coaster for my cup of tea, like that. I have a small plate, and I have a Japanese style sweets or wagashi fork. You can see that it's very small, and it's used for those tiny little sweets that you have. I don't know if it's going to cut this cake, but anyway, I just put it out here so that you can see. And you're just taking small pieces with it. It's also a fruit fork or whatever. The other thing that's important to know or note that when you're serving, you put the fork with the part that would go into your mouth to the left, and just like chopsticks, the part you would pick up is to your right. Does anybody have any idea why people do that? Why the chopsticks, where your hand goes to the right? Did we already talk about this?
Because most people are right-handed.
Exactly. Most people are right-handed. Yes. So we are now ready. Do you feel that your cakes are cool enough to cut? Do you want to give them a try for cutting? Let me just set this on the side here. Mine is not. I will cut the ones that I made earlier. But I also want to show you 2 other things that I made. I'm going to stop my share now. Can I see everybody's setup? You know, you don't have to have Japanese, great. You don't have to have Japanese plates or trays or anything. You just have to have kind of the concept. So small plates, they don't have to match, small forks, setting it in like a scene, a little scene. The other thing that I made today earlier that I wanted to show you that you could do with this, here's my matcha cupcake. Yoshi, I'm not seeing myself like large. Can you see me large or highlighted? Something.
Yeah, you're spotlighted, so you should be on the big screen. Yeah, I don't know if
okay, I'm seeing myself up a little. Oh,
I
know
see you large too.
Because I didn't do the view, speaker view. There we are. Hi. Okay. So I made a cupcake, matcha cupcakes, and I put the chocolate on top and swirled it around, as you could see. And I made a matcha mud cake in the microwave. You can do this in the microwave. I greased the cup. I don't know if anybody's made a mug cake on the microwave, but they're super fun. I greased everything inside pretty well, and I left it kind of a little messy here because I wanted you to see that it will come up and go. And then I microwaved it. I put in about this much here, and it went up, and I put the chocolate on top, and I microwaved it for 1 minute. And the cake went up, 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 looked like it was going to spill over, and then it went back down when I stopped it. I put in a toothpick. It came out dry, but I don't know. I thought I need a little bit more time, so I gave it another 15 seconds. So in 1 minute and 15 seconds, I made a mug cake. Fun thing to try. All right. And so if you want to do different things with this batter, it's definitely. And the other thing, you can put the anko in the middle of this cake. It also is very good. So if you want to cut your cake, the point is not to cut giant pieces. 8 by 8, we usually get 9 pieces here. We're looking for something like 16 pieces. So you want smaller pieces. You're going to serve on smaller plates. So try to think small brownie size, not giant American size things. So I've got my small one here, and I'm going to cut that. And just see, I'll do my share again so that you can just see. Well, I think you can see from there. And I'm just, if I've got a little pan like this, and this is very small, I may try for 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 12 pieces out of this. So I'm just going to make small cuts, and like that. And here we go. Great. And I'm going to bring it up. The chocolate doesn't necessarily go all the way through. It's kind of right there on the top. And then I've got my piece like that, my cake. And I think everybody knows that before we eat anything, whatever it is, put our hands together, and let me, there we go back to gallery view so I can see everybody. And we say, itadakimasu. Everybody say itadakimasu. Okay.
Itadakimasu.
Let's try the matcha latte. Tell me what you think.
Non mi piace.
Is that a ooh or is that a ooh?
He doesn't like it. That's
He
Italian.
doesn't
But I
like
don't like
it?
it. Matcha is very weird for Italians. I'm Italian too.
You're Italian? Well, let me put some
I
more
have to
honey
put
in
more
it.
honey in it.
Put more honey in it. Exactly. Can you imagine what it would taste like if there was no honey in it? But
Oh,
that's
it's
okay. And you know
intense.
what? It's okay if you don't like it. You tried it.
It's
So-
fun.
Pardon?
It's fun.
Good, fun, good, and a new thing and healthy for you. So, and kids, you know, you're getting your vitamin D and calcium. Oh, what do we got there? Lauren, what did you have, hon? Oh, ground cinnamon. Oh, little ground cinnamon on top. Very good. You could throw in a candy cane right now if you wanted for the holiday season. Give yourself a little peppermint or something. But anyway, does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Have you tasted your cake yet? I will tell you that to me, the cake, after 3 days or so, it can be a little dry. Oh, beautiful. Nice job. Fantastic. Excellent. Excellent, everybody. Good. Super. Show me, show everybody hold up their cakes and we'll just take one quick picture and see. There we go. Great. Beautiful, Catherine. Excellent, Leah. I'm so pleased when everybody's actually works. I worked very hard to try and get these recipes right so that they work for everybody. It's one thing if it works in my kitchen, but it's quite another thing that it should work in everybody's kitchen. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I did have to leave, so I didn't get to try my cake, but it came out beautiful.
Okay, that's wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm so pleased, and actually, I'm quite relieved that everybody's cake came out well.
This was very fun. Thank you for teaching us.
Great, thrilled.
Thank you so much.
Any kids there taste the cake? Any parents of kids there? How do you feel about? Do you have any problem with your kids eating matcha? No? Do you like matcha?
I don't have any problem with it. I like
it.
What did you think?
What's your name,
of the
hon? What do you think about it?
I think the latte was pretty good.
Good.
But yeah, I like the cake most.
Okay, super. I'm glad.
Cake was good.
Good, excellent. And again, you know, one time I made it kind of dry. I took the anko that I had in my refrigerator, sliced the cake in half, and put it in between.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, there are ways to save things if you make a mistake. So everybody, thank you so much. This is the final in the third series. Hopefully we'll be working together again in the winter, in January. If there are any programs or classes or cooking classes that you'd like to see, you can.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes,
and
please.
that is matcha also used in savory dishes or only in sweets and beverages?
Good question. Chinami-san, can you help to answer that?
We sometimes use it with salt, and sometimes we when we eat tempura,
yes.
Matcha and salt. This is very good.
Yes.
So matcha and salt, and then
yes.
Oh, and tempura.
In tempura, you sprinkle it after the tempura is cooked. You
Yes.
sprinkle it on top of the tempura, and it's really
Oh.
delicious. Thank you for reminding me of that. That is,
Another cooking demonstration you should do.
yes, but I will tell
Definitely.
you, tempura, I go out to restaurants for. That is one hard dish to make.
Oh, wow.
And it comes out really well all the time. The good thing about me is I know my limits. So I try it at home, but it's, you know, it's not the level I would want it to be for teaching. So karaage, Japanese fried chicken, yes, which is so much easier. But anyway. Super.
Well, Deb, on behalf of the Japan American Society in Georgia and Japan American Society in Houston and Japan Society in Boston, and everyone joining us, thank you so much for hosting all three sessions in the cooking, and we would love to work with you again next year. So thank you so much. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Merry
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
New Year, Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.